Next up is another Eastern Caper. You know we like people from the Eastern Cape. She's Greek, she loves food, she loves people, and her name, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kayla Koutsoudis. Koutsoudis.
Thanks so much, Bully, for the introduction. Okay, will the people in the front just be careful of this? No, I'm joking, it's only plastic. So you might be wondering why I'm breaking plates. This is so unnecessary and so destructive, but to me it's a very normal thing to do at most celebrations because, as Bully mentioned, I'm Greek, and that's what Greeks do at celebrations. We break plates. Now, just because it's part of my culture, it doesn't mean that I was allowed to go around the dining room table pulling all the plates off the table during a casual Sunday lunch, which, as you can imagine, was very confusing for me as a child because I just couldn't understand why it was okay last night at George's wedding, but not today during lunch. But in case you're wondering, we don't just break plates because we don't want to do the dishes or because we want to be destructive. There is an actual theory behind it. Ooh. So I'm going to tell you about two of my favorite theories which originated in ancient Greece. The first being that breaking plates was believed to have brought about the idea of kefi, which translates to good spirits and fun. The second reason was that rich families would invite much poorer families over to their houses for dinner and would invite them to break the plates once they had done eating because they wanted to show them that their friendship meant much more to them than their material possessions. Now, among all the theories, there is a reason why I've chosen to tell you these two in particular. And I think it's because they resonate with who I am as a person, because I love friendship, and I obviously love the idea of good spirits and fun. And I think we often don't realize how many things we consider to be normal because of our cultural backgrounds and how we've been raised. I realized this when I moved away from home after school. You see, I'm from Port Elizabeth, and things move relatively slowly back there. And I would say we kind of sheltered growing up. And I moved to Stellenbosch in first year and went to Res. And I realized just how diverse people can be and how people consider normal to be so different because of their upbringing. And this is something that still continues to surprise me today, even at the age of 22. Now, just the other day, I was having a conversation with two of my digs mates, and I was talking about my family, and I mentioned one of my cousins, and they said to me, but how is she related to you? So I said, no, it's my dad's second cousin's daughter. And they looked at me with horror on their faces, and they said, but Kayla, that's not your cousin. And they said, it's only your cousin if it's your parents' siblings' children. And this really bothered me for the rest of the day, because in my culture, your cousin is your cousin. It doesn't matter how far you're related. And of course, this can cause some serious problems when you're expected to invite the whole family over for Sunday lunch, but it's normal for me. Now, you may be wondering why I'm going on about this and what it's actually getting to, but I recently watched a TED Talk by Simon Sinek, and he said great leaders understand why they do things. And this got me thinking, if we can understand our cultural backgrounds and why we do the things we do and what actually influenced us, then we'll have a better understanding of each other and ourselves. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Something I believe I've been conditioned to be because of the people who have influenced me and the way I've been brought up is to be passionate. Now, there's a few different definitions of the word passion, but it can otherwise be understood as excitement. But the definition I would like to refer to is a strong feeling of enthusiasm or excitement for something or about doing something. In a world where there are so many contributing factors to the success of marketing, it may be challenging at first to understand why I've selected passion to be so important. But I believe that there's a great amount of power in people who love what they do because their work will just have so much more meaning. Not only is this relevant in marketing, but to our lives in general. I believe there are three main points that allow passion to lead to success. The first point being that it fuels confidence. I see this often if you go to food markets and you see people who genuinely love cooking, and because they are just so in love with what they're doing, they are so confident when they sell their product. And then the second example, that passion creates excitement. It's always so heartwarming to see someone who's passionate because they are just excited to talk about the topic, and it really just, it makes you happy. Then finally, passion is contagious. Now this I found to be true when I went to a Stormers game at Newlands this year with a few of my friends, one who had probably never watched a day of rugby in her life. And we were seated behind some real die-hard fans in the crowd, and they were screaming so much that by the end of the game, my friend had lost her voice because they were just so passionate that she had joined in on every single one of their cheers and Mexican waves and everything. So in a world where we are constantly trying to keep up with the latest trends in technology, we often forget to take a deeper look at the people around us and look at what they are passionate about. And I think if we start doing this again, we'll be able to gain insight to them, and this will be valuable in marketing and in our personal relationships. One of my favorite Ogilvy campaigns did this so well. Now, Brazil was facing a major problem in their medical sector, in that there was a large amount of people on transplant lists waiting for organ donations, and there just wasn't enough to help them all. So this campaign went about in a bit of a different manner. They targeted the one thing that Brazilians were born with in their soul: football. Sports Club Recife was known for having some of the most passionate fans in Brazil, and the campaign launched using real patients who were waiting on transplant lists to make appeal to these fans, and they made promises such as, "I promise your eyes will always continue to watch Sports Club Recife." And these videos were screened in the stadiums before football games. And once people had actually signed up, they would receive a card with the football club's logo on, and it made them part of something special amongst those fans. So this campaign did something different in that it created immortal fans, and it solved a major issue in Brazil. 51,000 people signed up to become organ donors, and organ donation increased in Brazil in 1 year by 54%. Now, these fans might have not have been necessarily passionate about saving lives and medical issues, but they were passionate about their club, and Ogilvy saw something in that, and they took hold of it, and that, I feel, is why the campaign was so successful. Then I just wanted to touch on Dove's Real Beauty campaign. Now, Dove realized women had lost a lot of their self-esteem and their confidence because they were comparing themselves to images in the media of women who they perceived to be perfect. But what they didn't know is exactly how photoshopped these women were. So Dove decided to expose this to them so that they could realize that they were perfect just the way they were. And they got them excited again about their beauty. Now, both these examples aren't necessarily the sexiest of products to sell. I mean, it's donating your organs and basic cosmetics like soap. But both campaigns show that you need to understand those around you and look at what they're passionate about and what makes their heart tick. And I'm going to leave you with a quote by Isabel Allende. It says, "What do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I hope that you live it passionately." Thank you.